Very good afternoon to all of you and a warm welcome. My name is Abhilasha and I'm a leadership coach and I'm your host for the session today. The session right now is going to be a 90-minute session. Now, let me go ahead and introduce our panelists. Our first panelist is Neha Buch. She is the ex-CEO and current advisory board member of Pravah, a youth development organization based in India. She was the first and youngest non-founder CEO of Pravah, having come a full circle from starting her journey as a volunteer in 2000. She brings with her over 20 years of experience in the sector and is currently an executive champion with ComMutiny, the youth collective. Neha brings with her expertise in designing and facilitating cutting-edge interventions across diverse stakeholders and multiple focus areas, including adolescent and youth development, leadership development, and organization development. Neha is on the board of different adolescent and youth engaging organizations and mentors several young social entrepreneurs across the country. Neha, welcome, and it's a pleasure to have you here today with us. Our next panelist is Sanchari. Sanchari, if you could come on stage. A vehement enthusiast driven by entrepreneurial thinking with robust experience of impact making in the field of social emotional learning. She has impacted over 20,000 young students from diverse backgrounds across the globe. She is an MA in Literature, a Gandhi Fellow, and a Change Looms Fellow. She has led various projects in social emotional learning in the government schools of Rajasthan, Junjunu Jail, and Juvenile Home. She is the founding member of a Bangalore-based social startup called IICC, which works towards empowering students from challenging background with need, value, and skill-based learning. Currently, she is also working as the Senior Manager, Experiential Learning at KidX. A very warm welcome to you, Sanchari. Lovely to have you here.
Thank you so much. Looking forward.
All right. Our next panelist is Sanjina. Sanjina, if you could come on stage as well. So Sanjina is a sexual and reproductive health rights consultant and trained menstrual health facilitator. She has been working in the thematic area of health and education for close to 8 years. She's been associated with various not-for-profits and research-based organizations and has worked extensively in rural Bengal, Kolkata, rural Bihar, Mumbai, and rural Maharashtra. Strategizing, she has delivered multiple workshops and projects around gender equity, sensitization, strategizing programs pertaining to inclusive sexual and reproductive health rights for young persons across the gender spectrum. She is a global shaper with World Economic Forum from Kolkata. She is an ambassador and trained facilitator under EcoFem, which is a social enterprise working towards menstrual health in South India, and also an active member of the MHM Collective, India and Menstrual Health Alliance, India. Sanjina, welcome again. It's really a pleasure to have you here. And last but not the least, we have a very special guest, our own coach, Ranu Mishra. Ranu, if you could come on stage, please. Those who work with her go through an inner journey that helps them connect with self, with routine practice of asanas and pranayam. Her transformation coaching skills with deep interest in yogic philosophy and human behavior facilitate self-inquiry, reflection, mindset shifts, and transformation. She has kindly agreed to be our coach for this session and will take us through a live coaching session today with a very special guest, Geetika. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So now what we will do is Ranu and I will go backstage and we'll leave the stage for Neha, Sanjina, and Sanchari to take us forward.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Abhilasha. And as some of you might have noticed, we already have Murphy's Laws playing out, where everything that can go wrong is trying to go wrong with tech troubles that we're having. But we're with you. And I'm just gonna I'm very grateful to actually the ICF team. It's been absolutely fantastic leading up to this session, just the exchange of learnings that we've had, and we're excited to bring to you actually the fifth space perspective on this, how the space can become a coach. Abhilasha, I'm going to just invite you to maybe just start us off by sharing that initial slide, because I really want to bring focus to the fact that Rumi, for instance, has he's talked about how you're not a drop in the ocean, you are the entire ocean in a drop. And this is also something which was echoed by Kabir, where he says that everyone knows that a drop is a part of the ocean, but it's actually the really rare person who recognizes and realizes that the ocean resides in a drop. And this for us is very, very significant and very, very critical, because this is what actually helps becomes the center pin for whatever work that we're going to do through fifth space. The fact that we need to remember that we are all part of the larger ocean, but that a larger ocean also resides within us. What we'll see is that we have a series of interactive processes through which we're going to discover what this fifth space is, and we've got some fantastic stories that are going to come from Sanjina and Sanchari. So let's just get started with it. And Abhilasha, if we can move to the exercise slide, I'm going to invite you. Can everybody see the slide? Sorry, I'm not sure because I can't. I'm going to just invite you to think of a space or an experience or a time when you really felt that you were invested upon. You felt that there was a sense of empowerment at the end of it. You felt that there was a sense of growth that you experienced through that process. Uh, and it could be at any age. Just go back through your life, any of the spaces or experiences or times when you felt this, when you felt somebody or that space really helped you grow, helped you feel empowered, and helped you feel invested. And then, just if you could share via chat, what was that space and what was it in it that made you feel invested in? What did they do? What did they try? It's lovely. It seems different people have experienced such spaces. That's fantastic. Would be lovely to hear. Okay, we're getting some cities. Felt it in a city. That's lovely. Thanks, Neetu. And I see Rajendra has shared trust. Very, very critical. Perhaps trust in the person, trust in our abilities, trust in the capacity, and gratitude. A sense of gratitude and is something also that made you feel invested in. So recognition, the fact that we put in the effort or we've done something in that space, and when someone has expressed gratitude, that has been very critical. Fantastic. Thank you, Raghunanda. Empathy with my situation. Fantastic, Aparna. Thank you. Abhilasha has mentioned love. Very, very important. Feeling loved and feeling valued and feeling seen. So beautiful. We've got a lot of fantastic people here, and like is the nature of coaching, I think the idea is we'd love to hear from all of you, so please do keep the chat rolling. We've got Tiffany who shared acceptance. Again, incredibly important. Thanks, Tiffany. Ranu talks about courage, felt courage. Jayati talks about how it was non judgmental, and perhaps Jayati and all of us could, where we have experienced these spaces, would have felt that sense of being able to share what we wanted to. Mm. Ramya has talked about how her own action, the fact that she was, taking initiative and putting in her 100% in that sense, which really helped. Thanks, Ramya. So we've got a lot of interesting ones coming in, and please do keep these pouring in, because really what all of you are talking about are all of the things which form the core of the fifth space. And we've got a question which is being shared by Elton, asking why is it called the fifth space frame. And Elton, we are actually going to talk about that a little bit more, and through the course of this, I'm sure hopefully you'll get the answer to that. And like Rohit has also added to that, he's talked about listening, the silence, and the ability to hold the space are all things which have created that mahal, that atmosphere, that space where we found ourselves feeling like we were being invested in and feeling like we were feeling more empowered and we were growing. And like I said, the idea of the fifth space is really to create safe, empowering spaces. We are talking in the context of young people today, and that's where it's focused. But this is true for all of us, as we are seeing from our own lives. It is actually ageless in that sense. But really, how by creating empowering safe spaces, we enable people to be able to build their agency and take charge of being able to create positive change in our lives as well as in the larger community. And like Neeti is also saying that getting out of the comfort zone is one of the key aspects of that, because that also helps us feel empowered. So we're going to discover a lot more of this. And to get us started, I'm going to invite you to watch a small movie, which is going to perhaps give you a glimpse of what we're talking about, the fifth space. And if tech support folks, I think Chintan, if you're there, if you can show the movie. The movie is called The Class of Rowdies. It's a 6-minute movie, and we hope that you'll enjoy it.
Today is my first day and I will be taking all your science subjects, so let's start off on a good note. Not that note, thank you. So let's start with a nice round of introductions. My name is Sakshi and I love working with young people.
Ma'am, my name is Anish. I was a topper last year. Ma'am, my IQ is 145 and I've got double promotion once.
My name is Andy. I like dancing.
My name is Chetan and I like to play the guitar.
Okay, everyone's done except the last roll number. Zara? Where is Zara?
Zara is a zombie. 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 Zara is a
Class, settle down. Gaurav, I'm gonna kill you.
Hi, how was your day?
Good morning, class of rowdies. You do know that's the name the rest of the school has given you, right? This month, I will not lead the class. You will. Every day, 2 students will come here and present anything that they are passionate about. There is only one rule. You must show respect. So who is courageous enough to accept the challenge?
Ma'am, anything?
Yes, anything.
Our topic is everything you wanted to know about the birds and the bees.
But afraid to ask.
Sequined in the night sky as the stars shine, they tell a million stories, some of yours and a few of mine.
Today, we both will be teaching you the secret of flight by building a rocket. That balloon over there is also a rocket, but it does not go very far as it does not have any wings to give its flight a direction. So you see, in life, it is very important to have something
Or someone.
yes, or someone who can give you direction every time you're going astray.
It helps you go very far in life. Good morning, class. Today we have prepared a very interesting topic for the class. Today I'm going to tell you about the physics of dance. But before that, my friend here is going to give you a small demo.
Can I ask you something? Your class of rowdies has really changed. How did you manage it?
I haven't done anything. I just created a space where no one is judging them, where they can learn through their own interests.
Hi class!
Good morning, ma'am.
So everyone's done with their session except Zara. Zara, come on. Zara!
Every rowdy class has a voice, waiting to be heard, wanting to be understood, wishing to be loved. Thank you, ma'am, for listening to us. Thank you for not giving up on us. Thank you for finding the reason for our rowdiness, for giving a channel to our craziness. Thank you, ma'am, for finding the poet in a zombie, and for setting me free, for letting me be. No matter where we go and what we do, we'll always carry in our hearts a part of you. Dear ma'am, thank you.
Thank you so much. And sorry, I always get teary-eyed every time I watch it. So I've watched it many, many times. And I think it'd be wonderful to just hear in the chat how you feel after watching the film. Yes, goosebumps and feeling touched. Teary-eyed too. Yeah, Neha, I hear you. There's a profound message in that, yeah. Yeah, and as Raghu was sharing, I think it's such a beautiful way of sort of being able to see this, and I think it to look at how one teacher could look at it as a class of rowdies, while another saw potential and possibilities. And like what Rajendra said, the effort that they made to be, that the teacher made to be with each of the students, meeting them where he or she is. And I think what would be fantastic is, and we've already started doing that, is, what are some of the values and principles that you think help the young person feel empowered? And we've already got some coming in, and I think we'd lovely to have others. We've seen acceptance, like what Rohit is saying, there was space being created to allow for young people to lead, starting from where they are, inspiration and seeing beyond Sometimes as individuals, what's happening around has, makes us feel that that's the only thing we can do, but having someone else who believes in us and sees beyond, um, the fact that there's power in every individual and that there's no judgment, uh, is absolutely beautiful, and allowing and holding the space for growth and learning. Such beautiful things. And this actually, everything that you're sharing is real. Oh, is it? My volume is very low, is it? Can you hear me? Is that better, Mr. Murthy? I'm not sure because I can't hear myself. Great, great. Thank you. So it's beautiful how intuitively all of us know and can feel the fifth space, and this is really what the fifth space is. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take everything that you have shared already and share with you some structures and principles which help us create the fifth space in different places. And this is not something which is just ComMutini's doing. Actually, it's drawn from over 100 adolescent and youth engaging organizations in India as well as abroad. And That's what I'm going to share with you. So, Abhilasha, if you could perhaps pull up the slides and we could maybe start with slide 4. Elton, you had asked that question saying why the fifth space frame. So while Abhilasha pulls up that slide, I'm just very quickly going to share with you that, when we started doing our research, we recognized that largely, young people spend time in 4 legitimized spaces, typically friends, family, there's education and career related spaces, and leisure. Um, so these are the 4 spaces: family, friends, education, career, and leisure, where young people largely spend their time. And these are typically sort of the norms are set by adults in these spaces. They're also very like me spaces. We typically find friends who are like us. Family spaces are generally like us. And what we found was that there is another fifth space which actually overlaps this space. Almost if you were to visualize the other 4 as 4 circles, and then a fifth space which is right in the middle, which then allows for all of these spaces to interact with one another, but for also allows us to interact with the larger world. It is a space which is then designed, and it's numerically therefore named the fifth space, and just to share with you. Um, because in real life, these fifth spaces can be by many names. So, ComMutiny is a fifth space, Prava is a fifth space, the Varta League community and its members are all fifth spaces. So everybody knows it by a different name. But this space is recognized because and seen as a space which is a space for development of the self. It's a space where we understand, go deeper under the iceberg, understand our beliefs, understand our strengths, understand areas that we need to work on. Abhilasha, you can bring up, you can tab and bring up the animations. Thank you. So typically this fifth space, which is on the side, we're bringing to the center. And so these spaces then are where we go into our values, beliefs, mental models, fears, dealing with all of that and understanding that. It's also a space where we develop meaningful relationships with people who are like us, but also people who are not like us, people who hold different perspectives, different ways of viewing the world, different experiences, backgrounds, identities. We bring them together and therefore also build these capacities and skills of, say, conflict resolution, of empathy, of being able to understand, of being able to make meaning, of being able to interpret narratives and build more authentic co-created narratives. And then the third part of it, which is discovering the interconnection between the self and the society, the fact that it's actually a journey, self to society, which is constantly playing out. We discover more of ourselves every time we interact with the larger world, and that in turn helps us discover ourselves further. And all in all, when we look at the fifth space, it is actually a compelling experience. Every interaction, which is a compelling experience, which helps us do these 3 things, is what a fifth space is. And we're often asked, how do we recognize it? And Abhilasha, we could go to the next slide. Um, This is where it all begins. We recognize it because of the feelings that they evoke, and I think all of you talked about it. And we can go forward, Abhilasha. The feelings of love, the feeling of learning, of growth, of freedom, of ownership, and social hope. When any comparing experience has these feelings at play, we feel that that is where a fifth space exists. That is where it's created, and this is how we identify it. Very quickly, if I was to go through them, what are the principles that we keep in mind in order to be able to create such a space? And Abhilasha, we can move forward. Um, we look at this and we capture these elements, these principles through this acronym called flowing. This is very important to us because flowing is also about how discovering our potential, discovering our agency, and becoming empowered is a process. It's a journey. It doesn't really stop, and therefore flowing, the organic nature of it, the dynamic nature of it, is very critical. One of the key principles in such a space, and I think all of you have already talked about it, is that feelings must be honored in that space, a safe, non judgmental space where I'm able to bring the fullness of my ocean, the fullness of my interconnected world and universe is very, very critical for me to be able to transform and grow and develop and feel empowered. We can move to the next, Abhilasha. Uh, then leading together with adults in this context, because we're talking about young people, the co-creation aspect and the intergenerational aspect is extremely critical. Young people today don't necessarily need more information, though that too is needed on occasions. But largely in a day where lots of Google searches can happen and there are many more ways in which to reach out to information, meaning making and co-creating and setting up norms together about how we want to function is incredibly important. It's the bedrock of how I also own up to that journey and start to put down and take initiative and take steps. And co-creation is extremely critical. If we go to the next one, ownership of self in society. Like we talked about it, self in society is a journey, it's self to society, and it works both ways. Different people come in for different reasons, but the ability to find myself where I stand, how I'm connected, how it impacts me, and then being able to take ownership for positive shifts in my life as well as that of the community is incredibly important to feel that sense of agency and feeling a sense of power, being able to discover, what is in my control, what is in my area that I can actually do, and being able to do that. As we move to the next one, a very key aspect is willingness to take risks. As some of you already said, there was space for the young people in the class of rowdies to actually do something of their own, to try something. Now they might have made mistakes, and that's fine. We create a safety net, but the space to take risks and try things and lead, because this is not an intellectual space. You have to be able to try and learn to learn from mistakes and learn to learn from life. As we move forward, the next aspect is inclusion for all. One of the key areas that we often stumble upon is that we get attached to our own ways of seeing, our own perspective, and then there's confirmation bias. But really, the more time we spend including everyone and therefore surrounding ourselves with diversity of perspective, diverse viewpoints, that's where empathy starts to get built. That's where we suddenly start to see that the world is much larger than we imagine, and we learn so much from it, because as young people we don't necessarily like to be told, we like to experience, and experiencing that diversity and learning through that brings a huge sense of empowerment. And again, we are not working just for the future, we are also working in the present, in the here and the now, and the sense of success and having gauges to enable us to see that we are progressing today and being recognized today is as important as is in the future. And this brings us to the last aspect of this, which is grounded in reflection. This is a wordplay. And the idea is that for any one of us to complete a learning cycle, we need reflection and we need action. And we can't just do reflection or just do action. And all of these together is what completes that cycle of learning. So these are the design principles of flowing that helps us create the fifth space. Um, there's much that can be talked about it. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause here and I'm going to invite these two incredible young women and incredible young social entrepreneurs who are change doers, part of a program that we run at ComMutiny. I'm going to first invite Sanjari, if you would like to come in and share a little bit about your experience with the fifth space so that these principles and these feelings and everything we've talked about becomes a little bit more real for all of us.
Thank you so much. And I was also in the flow. I think when you were experiencing it was just a flashback of what I have been through, and I'm still going through. This flow never stops. This principle of flowing never stops. Firstly, thank you, ICA, for creating this opportunity, and I'm really excited to share my story. So right now, I'm going to share my story of experiencing this fifth space with all of you, and let's begin it. So the story is, the setting is in, say, 2020, mid of 2020, when the world has come to a standstill. The protagonist of the story is a 26-year-old girl. When she thought, okay, the world has come to a standstill, but this is the time when we need motivation, when the institutional learning has stopped, but we have to start something which can take learning beyond textbooks. So she thought of designing a campaign. What campaign? What is it? We'll come to it later. So let's begin the story. And then one disclaimer I want to give: the story about this girl is not following a typical plot structure, which begins and there is a beginning, middle, and ending. But there is a beginning, there is a middle, and there is another beginning. So it starts like this. So the beginning, when I said, it started with the designing of a campaign called Also a Learning. So this girl runs an organization in Bangalore called IICC. So it started with the designing of the campaign. She was very excited. Okay, people are inside their home. They're not having enough motivation. Some of our students have got really demotivated because the schools had got closed. But what if we celebrate learning beyond educational institutions? So she sat with her team and designed a wonderful project. And days after days, nights after nights, she designed drafts. And ultimately, it was about to go live. The campaign started. The campaign had something like this. There. In Facebook or in Instagram, you have to share your own stories about the learning, which is from anywhere, anyone, and beyond the textbook. It must be from your life experiences. It started. First day it went quite well because people who knew the girl, they started posting it. Second day it went well, but gradually the numbers started decreasing. Then she started, why not we hire some volunteers for the organization who can advocate for this campaign. And trust me, it was that time when everyone was sitting idle at home, wanted to get engaged into meaningful experiences. So volunteer registration form started, and 100 volunteers were onboarded into the organization. Okay, now there are volunteers, we have a plan, and it started to get like that. After that, in a minute, in 2 or 3 days, volunteers started decreasing. Like from 100, it became 80 to 60, and then 20. This girl was demotivated. She was finding that the passion with which she started to bring a radical mind change in the society, to make young people engage in some meaningful experiences, is something coming into meaninglessness. And it was more fueled when the people around her started saying, see, you are running an organization, such a young girl, 26, you don't have enough experiences. Go take some experiences and then you start. So she was feeling like, oh, I can't do anything. I think I have to then stop it. But as it says that when your intentions are pure, things happen. Things happen like magic in your life. So then a magic happened. She got introduced to a place. And can you all guess what that space is? that space which changed her life forever, which made her understand how to go, how not to go, and where to stop, where to go again. Yes, that space was the fifth space. So she got introduced to the fifth space where she can express her failures, her mistakes without any inhibitions of getting judged by others, where she can find her inner potential to shape a new she. Thus, this space actually was created. So this space, which I think Neha introduced as fifth space, or I'm also talking about fifth space. So we start, visualizing it as a physical thing. So a space which has fancy bonsais decorated with bonsai, no. A space which is a very comfortable couch where you can sit and chat, no. This fifth space was and is still made up of some amazing people. So this space is made up by the people, for the people, and of the people. And the people out here are having very large eyes and ears, and a big heart to listen to people with an empathetic heart. And I to say, yes, I'm there beside you, holding your hand. So this girl who was 26-year-old 2 years before is none other than Shantari, me here. And at the very few first months of Change Room's journey with Prabha, when it started, I met Neha as my coach or mentor. And I found in her that person who listened to all those things which was happening to my life. Because as a social entrepreneur, when you start your journey at a very young age, you have a lot of other confusions also going on. So you have a decision to make, personal life choices. You have confusions that how to support family, how to handle personal relationships. Plus, you have a very big responsibility of leading the society. So all these confusions, I just open up in front of Neha. And what happened, as a coach, she never asked me, said, Sanchari, you have done this wrong. Sanchari, you shouldn't have done that. She just asked me 3, 4, 5, introspective question, which hold a mirror in front of me. And bingo, that is like an open sesame moment. I got answer to so many unanswered questions, and I felt the answers were within me only. So as a coach, she never made me feel like this is right and this is wrong. Instead, to introspect and find out the answers from within me. So this is the place where I the first time felt that my feelings are not tagged. This is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong. I felt the feelings are honored. So from this journey of realizing the self, I took the ownership of understanding if I can change myself, if I can hear my inner voices like this way, how can I move forward and spread this into the youth? So I started designing along with my team in IE such fifth spaces where I can give space to the people who are joining as volunteers, where they can express themselves. So they started joining us in, and trust me, when I started my journey in this fifth space, we did not have volunteers. Volunteers were moving away. We just had a concept that, okay, we have to serve the society, but did not have a structure. So in this space, we brainstormed with ideas with different coaches. So there was a personal mentoring, there was professional mentoring, coaching. And then as a coachee, I understood from their life experiences, from the coaches, how I have to move forward, how I have to design programs. And that made to design one of the celebrated programs, which was called Surprise Learning Box, where we continued offline education with the students who were not having access to digital education during the COVID times. And it was all a volunteer run movement. And still today, I'm proudly celebrating a journey in IE where we have 50 plus volunteers who tells that we are here because we find a space where we can express ourselves. So we have created where they can express their own talent, and in turn they're also mentoring our students on the ground. So it's like a chain which is going on. It's like a bond which is made with love, trust, and being the self, going with the flow. So at the end, I just want to say one thing, that the bond which I have found in this journey of getting coached by a coachee or in this fifth space where you have people like you, please develop bond. If you can find that space, if you can find that coach, don't forbid yourself from developing a bond. Bond to me is B stands for building relationships. O stands for opening yourself. Open yourself without inhibitions if you have that person or that space with you. And then N stands for nurturing yourself with the experiences which your coach shares with you. And together you navigate through the journey. And last, discover the new you and go on developing the self and developing the society. That's what I have made the meaning out of this journey. And I believe that we together with ICF, all the people out here will make a meaning to build a beautiful place where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sanjari. Very beautifully, as always, articulating the journey. I'm going to just invite Sanjina here. If you can also share your story.
Yes, hi. Thank you so much, Neha, and thank you to the amazing ICF people for having me here. Just a quick addition to my introduction. I happen to be the founder and the CEO of a youth-led feminist organization named Rangeen Khidki Foundation. We are based in Kolkata and we work in sexual reproductive health and rights with adolescents and young people. I'm here as in the capacity of a founder as well as a change loomer. So to begin with, I think I want to, my journey into the fifth space in terms of the introduction. I did not know that something like this existed, first of all. When I started my journey as a change loomer, I, discovered that, oh, there's something called fifth space. And it was, I think, the beginning of something amazing. And one of the key transformation, or if I want to bring up a story of transformation, is the concept of self to society, which is also reflective of the flowing principles and the fifth space essence in general, that, and even ComMutiny, right, that it has to come from within. And as leaders or as even individuals or professionals and even personal lives, we are projecting everything around us, or we are projecting our essence, our values from what we feel inside. And that's what this space gave me. It gave me a space, I mean, it gave me opportunities where I explored stuff about me that I did not even know that I had the potential, even for that matter. So I'm just as I talk, I'm thinking of this anecdote or like a story or an experience. So change looms essentially is a journey where young people are young leaders and social entrepreneurs are incubated for a year-long journey where we are learning different things about ourselves and as leaders, and definitely in terms of organizational development. So during this time, we were also meeting these amazing people who were coming and talking to us and giving us tips on how do we go about our entrepreneurial journey. And of course, Neha has been somebody who's constant along with the entire team. But they would also get experts from outside of the Prava team. And there are, and I never even imagine in my wildest dreams that I would get out of that comfort space and reach out to these experts beyond the Prava or the change room space and build a relationship with them, to the extent that it took a while, but I made them my coach or my mentor for my in terms of my Rangeen Khidki journey. And these are all big people, these are all busy people who do not have that kind of time. But I'm so glad that Prava and change looms and ComMutiny and fifth space as in general helped me identify that I have these skills and also continue to polish and nurture that skill continuously. And it just I did not realize how important building a relationship is in terms of, in development of myself and my organization per se. And these are all very closely linked to all these flowing principles that we discussed some time back. Another story I'm thinking of is, having access to a space where we are allowed to learn from our mistakes, right? I remember having these coaching sessions and mentoring sessions with my coach and mentor, who's here as well, Neha. And during and you know I would be given the space to not just talk about my professional life. I was also given the space to talk about my personal journey, because I am what my personal self is, right? I cannot be two entirely different person in my professional and personal life. So whatever is happening in my personal life is eventually going to reflect in my professional journey as well. And I was always given the space to explore and even try out the wildest ideas that I have, or the wildest thoughts that I have, knowing that there's always a support system. And I want to also bring this fact here, as we are talking about coaching as a, you know, as an experience, that it's not always hunky dory, and that it's not always going to be like, oh, there is a setup that is going to give you, or there's a person, or there are these bunch of people who are your coaches who are going to help you solve all your problems, and you'll get a fantastic solution to whatever that you're dealing with. No, there's a lot of work that goes behind it. There's a lot of self work also, and there's a lot of hard work overall that goes into it. And the fact that sometimes even we may do things, or the coach could allow us to do things that in the real world may not make sense, only because they know our truest potential and they can help us unlock our potential, and also learn from that journey, because learning from mistakes is also an important part of the trajectory. So when we say that willingness to take risks, that's what I'm taping in at this point, that the ability to take risk, because I was somebody who's and who's very scared of contradiction. And I remember learning this word called carefrontation, where we talked about confronting with care. I mean, I have not ever heard such concepts like I have in this space. And this has allowed me to evolve as a person, evolve as a leader. And today, when I, work with my team, I hopefully have been able to replicate at least some of those principles that I have experienced in fifth space, where co-ownership, co-leadership, reflection, and all of this community, self to society, ocean in a drop, all of these concepts are coming to life in some way or the other. And it's an ongoing journey. I don't think it is going to ever come to a close. But yeah, I'm so happy that in this space, in this ICF space, people are also, getting an opportunity to know fifth space and its principles so closely, and perhaps getting an opportunity to interact and engage with with the fifth space. And yeah, that's mostly it. I hope I've kept I've maintained the time and everything. So yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Sanjina. Thanks for sharing. And I know that Abhilasha is just going to join us back. I think these are just two of the stories of possibly 15 million plus lives that have been touched through this. So over to you, Abhilasha.
Yeah, what a power-packed conversation. There's just so much happening. And thank you, Sanjina and Sanchari, for sharing your story so candidly. And the energy and the emotion was absolutely palpable. It's coming straight from the heart. So thank you for sharing it with all of us. Neha, there are a few questions. So if we could get to those before the next segment here. So there's one question from Mantha. He's saying, how would it be if I don't adopt the fifth space frame? Any of you could take that, yeah?
Sanchari or Sanjina, you want to take that very quickly? What would happen if you didn't use fifth space?
I can only add that I do not know life without fifth space at this moment. But I think I would ask Mr. Manta to try the fifth space.
Yeah,
Neha, your
I
perspective.
think. Yeah. I would just very quickly add, Manta, that this has been, like I said, it's been drawn from the experiences of what has worked across over hundreds and hundreds of organizations across the country as well as around the world. So these are not principles that have come as a construct from somewhere else, but from what works with young people, keeping them at the center and discovering the ocean that resides within them. It comes from an understanding of youthhood. It also comes from an understanding of humanness, actually. And I think we all know that in any space, like I said, we're speaking in the context of young people, but we've done this with corporates, we've done it across spaces in big organizations. Any human being wants to feel those five feelings. They may not be able to articulate it, but they will know. They will know when they're feeling that sense of empowerment and when they're not. So we find that growth gets compromised. Sometimes we go into competition mode. It goes into win-lose spaces, and it sometimes erodes confidence. And it then means that there are exceptions to the rule who make the journey, rather than necessarily being a design which enables everyone to be able to traverse that journey. I think those would be the differences I would look at.
Sure. Ellis is asking that co-creation and involving of youngsters would inspire them to explore and experiment and do the fifth space has more effectiveness. So is there more effectiveness because they use the fifth space?
Sanjari, you want to take that?
Of course, the effectiveness is always there, if I have understood the question correctly, because over here you are free to do what you want to do, and you meet people with similar zeal. So when you are meeting people with similar zeal, that also create a space of agree to disagree, accepting each other, and that's how the co-creation happens. So that would be my answer if I have understood the question correctly.
Yeah, and if I was to just very quickly add to that, yes, Mr. Murthy, actually, we have found that the more and more we have seen what has helped these organizations find success or programs find success, we've seen that this is much more effective. There is greater retention of people, especially volunteers. If you're looking at a volunteer space, there is greater ability of young people to go past things that scare them. So there is greater stick-to-it ability or resilience, as we've heard in the past 2-3 spaces. There is also an ability to ask for support and ask for help and support each other in peer groups. So to step in and do that, and to do this in their own lives, but also to do this in the context of a larger community, because there's also conflict resolution, negotiating, decision making, understanding those processes and engaging with it in an informed way. So we have definitely found it to be much more effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. You had, so like while you were sharing some of that, there's a question that's come in from Raghunandan. He's saying, what does one get when they have a different perspective and get into the fifth space frame? And how do you think it will enable you to think differently?
Yeah, I think Raghunandanji, I want to just share a caveat. I actually I'm a product of this, right? I was a young person who entered the system, went on to actually head the organization, traveled an entire journey through it. And what I found, and I have seen this again and again, is that because it's a diverse space, first thing it does is it knocks you out into that space where you have to look at a different world. What it also so you just have so many viewing points which you didn't know beforehand, and you suddenly realize the world is much larger than what it was. So initially it starts to create the seeds of discontentment, which is incredibly important to create that sense of change, and then it supports you to move from discontentment to finding inspiration, and then practice that to sort of start to fiddle with the narrative and the script that we have started with, and start to change that, try new scripts, experiment with it, fail, succeed, reflect on that, and then create a whole different sort of inner wiring Initially it may be more behavioral and stopgap, but over a period of time, then it becomes part of our inner wiring and becomes internalized, and which then allows us to shift. And then in that DNA is that it's like a spiral. So once you've done that, you're also supporting other people to do that, because that again puts you into the next level of that learning. So it's a journey and it continues to move on.
I wish we could keep talking about it for some more time, but I know we crunch for time. But what I would like to add to what you've said, and as you guys were sharing, we as coaches, we also try to do a similar thing, which is to be non-judgmental, to give that space to the client and allow things to come from within, right? In terms of what's going on at the values and belief level, identity level, and then what the solutions could be, which is for that person. So what we thought will be a good way to take this session forward is to actually have one of our coaches come and do a demonstration of coaching and see what the similarities are with fifth space and coaching as a space. So we'll get into that segment. So Neha, Sanchari, and Sanjina, thank you very much for being with us today. Stay with us backstage and let's look at the next segment within this session as well. Thank you so much. I will now invite our coach, Ranu Mishra. Ranu, welcome.
Thank you, Abhilasha.
I've got Geetika on stage as well. I will leave the space for the two of you.
Sure. Good afternoon, Geetika.
Hello, ma'am.
Can you get your video on? Will I see you on your video?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, hi. Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to the session, and I want to extend thanks from all of us from the ICF Conclave team for agreeing to do this session with us, for volunteering to be a demo coachee for today's topic.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's my utmost pleasure.
So before we move forward, Geetika, I want to let you know that we are recording this session, and with your permission, I hope you're okay with that.
Yeah.
And the entire session recording will be used for learning and development purposes for the coach community and the wider world at large. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, it is.
Sure. Thank you for saying that. So before we move forward, I just want to quickly make some placements for our conversations. Needless to say that this is a very, very confidential and non-judgmental space, but we have a set of audiences watching us over. And as I said, that's a non-judgmental space. I invite you to come up with a topic or an agenda, whatever is there in your mind for today's conversation, with utmost honesty, so that it can allow our conversation to get really deep and we can see what unfolds as we play along. Yeah?
So, being very honest, there's actually been one particular topic on my mind for a long time now. And that is, I'm not able to actually manage my timetable or say my schedule, because I have more than 5 to 6 things to do at a particular time in a particular day. And it just turns into a lot of chaos and it just turns very chaotic at the end. So even if I make a to-do list and try to mark everything that, okay, I've completed this and the next step is this, but still at the end of the day, there are only 4 to 5 things that are completed out of all, say, 7 or 9 things. 3 or 4 things are left each day. That's kind of, it does make me feel like somewhere maybe I'm lagging behind a lot. And I don't know why. There are a lot of factors affecting, but I don't know how to actually sort it out one by one.
So what I hear from you say that you're not able to accommodate your routine as decided, and you feel there's a lag, and it impacts the productivity of the day. Is that so?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So if you have understood the topic correctly, could you rephrase the entire agenda in one single line for the sake of our convenience of the conversation?
I would like to know how to make my work, or probably if I have to state that every situation in one single statement, reframe it. So I'd say that I would like to know how to effectively work, or maybe effectively complete all those 8 or 9 activities throughout the day.
Effectively manage those 8-9 activities on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Yeah, is that so? Have I heard it correctly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In our time together in next 25 minutes, 20 minutes, Khidki, what is the kind of outcome are you looking from this topic through our conversation?
I don't actually demand an outcome or a solution, because I know that that's not what I'm going to get. But something that I really want to know about is how to actually manage every single thing, because there are not only internal factors affecting everything. If I don't get to complete my personal day life work, it effectively or at the end affects my external or professional life also. So, for example, club activities or any professional activities that I have to do at the university. So everything is interlinked, and also the peer pressure and various things that I always have to do, because you can't always say no to people that no, I'm currently busy and I'm currently doing that. So that shift also makes a huge difference in my schedule throughout the day.
So still, I'm curious to know, what is one thing that you're looking for from this conversation? I mean, it's impacting you. I hear that, but I want to listen from you.
I don't want miscellaneous things to actually impact me in such a manner that has been impacting me till now, at least, I would say, which would in turn affect or maybe increase my effectiveness in the way that I work.
So you're looking for effectiveness, right?
Yeah.
Why is it important to you?
Because if I don't work effectively, I know that somewhere I'll probably lose track of those things again. I'll have to segregate time according to my schedule. That the priority things are different, and the things which can be done later has to be kept differently. So if I mix all those things together, there has to be 2 or 3 things which are missing at the end, and maybe they are the priority ones. So I don't want to miss that again.
So there's a need to prioritize that I'm hearing you say. What is your view on that as you're listening your own thoughts, that you need to prioritize to be more effective?
I need to know what's more important right now.
And what is more important?
To actually probably focus on myself, rather than actually letting people come up and say. I don't know, maybe just prioritize myself first so that I can complete the priority things, because the priority things, of course, affect me at the end. So maybe.
And why is prioritizing important to you?
Because those things will help me in the long run, in a very long run. I have my GRE and TOEFL exam coming right up in November, which will in turn help me for the master's degree. I've actually made my profile a bit nice, I may say. But the GRE and TOEFL scores really will change the whole gameplay. So if I don't actually focus on those 2 things, I might mess up everything that I've been working on since past 3 years.
So in the present moment, there is an immediate future vision around your upcoming test on GRE and TOEFL that will be impacted. If you step out from this view that you are presented for yourself, what do you see as an outsider?
As in?
As in, the TOEFL and the test GRE you mentioned is going to be impacted if you do not prioritize your life right now.
Yes.
So keeping this vision alive, if you step out of this vision and look at the whole thing as an outsider, what do you see? What's happening there?
There's one person who's trying very hard to actually just get things done, which will in turn help her to achieve greater heights. But she's also stuck between trying to manage that one last year at the university with all the friends, with all the colleagues, and with all the club activities, with the sports work, with many more other activities.
Yeah. So you see a girl who's working really hard, but stuck at the same time, and is in the last year of her university and doesn't want to mess up with her future.
Yeah.
What do you think your mother will look at the entire situation as?
She will look at it as I am managing everything very effectively, and if I'm missing out on one or two things, it's just normal. But she'll just say that focus on the things which will take you way up. Don't focus on things which bring you down. And if those things are included in your external factors or maybe internal factors, just let them go.
So you heard your mother's advice, right? Mother's perspective around your situation. And imagine if you are having a bird's eye view of the entire situation, what do you see?
I don't get it.
Sorry?
Can you please reframe the question again?
If you lift yourself up from the entire situation and see the whole situation from bird's eye view, 30,000 view, 30,000 feet view, what do you see?
I won't probably be able to see anything. It'll just be
okay, you can go down. You can go down and see. Just trying to see the situation from up. How does it look like?
Moving from here and there again throughout the day, and then going back and analyzing what you did, coming to a conclusion that what you have to do the next day, maybe add those 2-3 activities that you missed back into your to-do list, and then keep going that way.
So you've seen this view from 3 different directions. Your own view as an outsider, your mummy's view, what should you be doing, and the bird's eye view from top. What are you learning as you see as 3 different views of the same situation you are in, where you acknowledge yourself as a girl who's really working hard in her last year of university, is feeling stuck because she's not prioritizing.
I feel as if the more importance that I give to a particular thing, the more important it will be. I mean, that some things really don't need so much importance, and you get to decide what really is important for you, not other people. And if they really are important to you, they will understand that there are things which are important to you as well.
What would you like to do with this learning?
I would actually like to keep my things segregated and not let the external factors affect the whole schedule, which in turn disturbs the whole segregation part. Because if I do try to be everywhere at the same point, I would end up being nowhere again at the same point.
And how will that impact your TOEFL and GRE?
I would actually give more importance to them instead of hanging out with my friends or the club activities. I have to put them at a pause probably for a while and place GRE and TOEFL over all the 4 to 5 things that I was planning to do. Because right now, those are the only two most important things that I think will help me right now, as of now.
What is so important about TOEFL and GRE that you claim it to be the most important thing for now?
They are the key to my master's degree, to my 100% scholarship.
And why is master's degree important?
Because if I don't do masters, I've actually planned a way that my life is supposed to be. I mean, everyone does plan that they want their life to be. Till 3rd year, they'll plan out everything that has been happening, and then the 4th year is the action year, where you actually say everything and all the things that you've been, the seeds that you actually sow in. It's time for them to reap at the end. So if I don't actually play it now, I won't have any other option left.
Wow.
I don't want a normal thing. If I don't do masters, probably I won't be able to get into research the way that I want to.
I hear you. It's so important to you. Masters, scholarship, research, and hence GRE and TOEFL.
Yeah.
What's happening now as you're acknowledging this?
Actually, my mind is a bit clear now about what I actually have to do, what I actually have to focus on for the time being, till I don't get with my GRE and TOEFL now.
And how does that focus look like?
It's as if the other things in the vision are kind of moving back from the priority zone to the normal zone that can be done the next day. But these two things are the things that I don't need to mess about, which I was doing till now. Yes, I don't.
What I hear is, and what I sense, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, that if Gitika get her focus in place, she will feel more effective. Is that so?
Kind of.
Not too sure, kind of?
Yeah, because focus is important. But sometimes when you actually, I can see myself prioritizing 2 things at a time. External factors are not that important, but external factors are important as well. Not that important, but important. Because you have to come to university every day, you have to be with people every day. And if you tell me that you have your 2 priorities set, they don't understand each time. They only think that, okay, she probably has things to do, so just let her be. Or probably she's being rude. They think that I'm ignoring them. What I really do want them is to understand that something huge is going on, and that's something which is not to be taken very lightly. Because they all say, Gitika, you'll do it. We know you can do it. Just sit for a while. So, and then I can't say that, oh, all right.
Why can't you
from
say
that half an hour, it takes 1 hour. From 1 hour, it takes 2 hours and 3 hours, and we go on work on Monday, and then the whole schedule is messed up.
What do you want to do about it now? having the awareness about the challenge that you are having.
I probably would skip that external thing. Maybe let them think that, okay, I'm
probably you would probably skip that. I still sense there's some unsurety around it. You're not too sure if you'll be able to deal it.
That's actually true. I do want to do it though, but it gets difficult sometimes.
What comes in the way that makes it difficult?
My mom always says that you have to actually maintain bonds. You don't know where these bonds will lead you to. And this is the last year of university. You have to explore everything. You don't have to be shut in your room and studying, because that is all you've been doing since past 3 years. And then she goes ahead and she calls my friend that, okay, go and just take her out. But then that messes up my schedule more. And then when I try to tell her that this is not something that I actually want to do right now, she's like that you don't understand. You don't actually appreciate people who are with you. Usually people don't get such kind of friends who actually want them to come out with them and just hang out with them. So when the mom parts come to play, I am actually not able to do anything with that.
So mom is important and her thoughts are important. Right? But when mom, as a mom, you saw yourself stuck in the situation and GRE, TOEFL lying ahead, you saw the entire view, you had a different opinion altogether.
She said if the external factors are bringing you down, then just let it go.
Which advice would you like to stay with?
Probably let everyone go. It's a very chaotic situation because I really can't get my head around it. How I should deal with things, and when people say that, Gitika, this is your last year and you have to do so much, then things get more complicated. But what I don't understand is that what if I was in my second year? Will the situation be the same?
And what answer do you get?
Maybe we would have more time to spend with, 2 more years. But you don't actually have to hold on to people. You don't actually have to be with them 24/7 for them to be your friends, or for them to be your good connections. Which is if they don't understand what is important to me, they won't probably understand it ever. If they don't understand it right now when I'm with them. Once they are miles away, that thing would probably be that point which would break that bond which I was trying to build so far.
What's so hard here?
No, I would definitely leave it, because if they don't get me now, they won't get me.
I didn't hear you. Can you just repeat the last sentence?
I said that if they don't get me now, they won't get me ever, probably. So there's no point.
Is it really about people or it's about you?
It is about me trying to be everywhere, trying to do everything that I can do. GRE and TOEFL requires a very good number of hours to study. And keeping in mind that I only have 2 months to prepare, these things are secondary. And it can wait. I still have 1 semester to spend with. Spend the time then.
And if these things are secondary, what becomes most important here then, considering you are concerned about your future, your research, your scholarships, your masters?
Competitive exam preparation.
What needs to be done now to actualize that?
I'm going to focus on my competitive exams instead of thinking that maybe people will take it differently. If they are taking it differently, then it's okay. It's the best that they could do. That is what you don't
And you
know.
also, yeah. And you also said it's not about them. And the focus came second time in our conversation. And that I feel that Geetika needs to build on. But the need to be with people and friends is holding her back.
Yeah.
But you did acknowledge yourself that people come secondary. It's important for you to look for your immediate future that you have in mind, and that is GRE and TOEFL.
Yeah. If possible, can I jot down a few things that you're saying?
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah. I don't remember what I said.
I do remember. Also, there's also been one more thing which has been holding me back, and that was that when two people have very varied opinions about a particular thing, you try to come on a middle ground. You try to set a middle ground so as you don't hurt the other person and you also get your work done. But what if a person does not want to come on a middle ground? Like, no matter what, that person is not even trying a single step forward.
Are you talking about yourself?
No. And I tried to set a middle ground for a particular friend. I told her that things are not supposed to be this way. It has to be different. And she said that, no, if the particular thing is happening, then it has to be this way only this way, or it's none of the way. And I tried to suggest her that maybe we can try this one solution and come on a middle ground so that you don't get hurt, and so as I also don't feel like my life is being controlled, or I'm not getting sufficient time for myself. But then she was like, if you do want to do this thing with me, then it has to be only this way. If not, just don't involve me in that. And then that leads to subsequent fights and things. But how do I actually make them understand? Or of course I know that I can't control people's behavior or their respond to a particular situation, but if I'm trying to give an alternate suggestion or an alternate solution, I would really appreciate it if people do acknowledge that, okay, maybe this can also be a solution to a particular thing.
I appreciate your sharing on this thought, but somehow I feel this is a different agenda in itself by itself, and I don't see connection of this issue with the topic that we had opened up in the beginning of our conversation. Are they connected? Your inability to prioritize what is the connection between this
not exactly connected, but some personal thoughts or some personal things which happen in your life do lead or are intertwined with your professional life also. So even if I let people go, but if I do let people go, then this problem would not arise. I won't be so affected by it.
If you let people go, then this problem will not arise, and in a way it's connected to your current issue. That's what I'm hearing from you. Is that so?
Yeah.
So you've answered your own question.
Yeah.
We are 2 minutes to closure, Geetika. And what is your takeaway from this conversation? You were looking for being effective in your daily routine to be able to do full justice to your preparation to TOEFL and GRE owing to XYZ reasons. And those XYZ reasons are important to you. That's where your future lies. What would you like to commit to make your day more effective? Commit
I
to
would like
doing.
to go ahead with my competitive exams and plan out my day according to myself instead of actually listing out the external factors or trying to adjust those external factors into my already made schedule. If people understand it, it's really well and good. And if they don't, then they probably will never understand.
And how are you feeling as you are saying this?
Much lighter. Much lighter.
Thank you for saying that. Any concluding thoughts before we wrap up the session?
You have to just be honest with yourself and just see what things suit for you. Everyone has different opinions, different experiences. So it's always very nice to actually connect with you and tell out my problem or state my problem and then receive it back at the end.
So, that's so kind of you to say like that.
So
we are connected, Geetika. In case you want to take this conversation forward for more clarity and for strategizing action, how can you make your day more effective? I'm there. You can reach out to me and we can take this conversation forward. All right?
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Wow. Thank you, Geetika, for being here and being vulnerable in front of such a large audience and just, letting yourself out completely in front of us. Thank you so much. Ranu, it was an amazing session. I would like to, I know we're at the top of our time slot, but I would like to invite Neha for a couple of minutes just for reflection, her reflection on, what did she see in terms of the fifth space and coaching? What were some of her similarities that you saw, some differences that you saw? What's your reflection on it, Neha? If you could share that as closing comments, and then we'll say bye to everybody.
Thanks, Abhilasha, and I echo. Thank you so much, Geetika, and thank you so much, Ranu. I think it was a beautiful conversation. And there was this word that Sanjina used called carefrontation. It sits within a tool that we use in the fifth space, which is called ESCA: empathy, searching, carefrontation, and co-advising. There's a journey, and we sort of go back and forth, and I think that's what Ranu did so beautifully with Geetika, with her permission and co-holding it. I think just for Geetika to feel that space of also being able to say, I don't get that. You're sharing. It wasn't, which shows how there's equity in the space. There's a co-creation in the space, and the person's in the center. So I think it was a beautiful demonstration of that. And we often say when you're holding fifth space, it's that walking the thin line between stirring too much and stirring too little. So you don't want to overcook it, and you also don't want to undercook it. You want to be able to hold it just right so that the person is able to discover that and take it forward. And I think this was a beautiful holding of that, demonstration of that. So it was wonderful.
Great. Thank you so much. And I know we're at the end of our session. So audience, thank you very much for being such a beautiful audience. See you in the next session. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you, Neha. Thank you, Ranu.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Geetika.